In meditation, a good idea for us came today. I want to spin it a little differently. What I want to do is, I've really had some time with three of your wonderful products. And I want the Circle of Life members and the Body Align customers that'll be viewing this for me to put my input about the testimonies. And then I want you to explain from your knowledge base why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. What do you think about that?
Let's do it, my friend. Let's do it. Hey, I can talk about my products all day long. So
I know you could.
This is a 6-inch putt for me.
We want to make a case today that we want our people to be doing both, right? We want them to be using your incredible product because the testimonies are off the chart. And when they read the testimonies at the Circle of Life, they're off the chart. And we want to create a case that synergistically, it was like a match made in heaven when it comes to energy. You and me, probably when you put our background together on energy, it's substantial for sure. So I'm going to tell you, about 5-6 months ago, I was at Jimmy Swinn's house and he gave me one of your energy bracelets. And I put that bracelet on. And as you see, I really started noticing my energy increasing. I really started noticing my level of mood stabilized. And what I noticed is that there's a measurable difference when it's on, but there's also a measurable residual difference when it's off. As a matter of fact, I noticed that I'm resting much deeper at night, and I can keep this on about 9 or 10 hours a day. And then somewhere between about 5 to 6 o'clock at night, Steve, I have to take it off, because if I didn't take it off, I would still be cranking. You know?
You wouldn't be able to sleep very well at night. So great observation.
Explain to the audience why this is doing this to the Lama, because as you know, I've been in energy for 50 years and my body never lies to me when there's a change.
So it's the ultimate wellness band. So folks understand clearly that this is designed to get our bodies that first energetic solution, right? Before this, many of us in the Western culture, we didn't have anything energetic. We could have gone to a acupuncturist, or we could have gone to a Reiki or a holistic practitioner. But for the most of us, our bodies are just left energetically gapped. So what we've done to you, Master Lama, is provided you 350 unique frequencies, all embedded in this band, all designed around wellness. So I would expect you to say, Steve, I'm feeling positive energy. I'm feeling a motivation in my liver and my kidneys. I would expect you to say, I can breathe deeper. I have more oxygen. Because what we've done is now we've used these meridians. You know, all my products are very sensitive to what I signal to you and to where I signal it to you. This wristband wouldn't be effective on the back of your neck or as a pendant. It's effective because the meridians on the wrist are really good for what we're trying to do. So left wrist or right wrist, I prefer the left. It's where the data suggests. I notice yours is on the right. And I encourage people, move it around, see where it works the best for you. So we're pushing your body to a higher level than it's been. We're looking at frequencies for L-arginine to reduce cardiovascular inflammation, all the vitamins, the minerals, the things that our bodies normally would want to have in our diets that we're not getting. We all automatically want them energetically. Our DNA, the energetic DNA, is going, you've got to feed me these frequencies. And some we can get in nature, some we can get from the substances that we eat, and others have to come from an energetic solution. I've simply pushed your body up along the lines to your DNA. So if your DNA says, Steve, you're based on your age and based on the rest of your metabolism, the DNA best they can do is say 130/90 blood pressure. That's the best can happen unaided. Because I have bad habits, I might be at 140/100, right? What my wristband is going to do is push you to your DNA level, to what God intended for somebody of your gender, your age, your ethnicity. All the things that make who you are all determined in your DNA, your energetic and your chemical DNA. And this is where we can push your body to. not better than that. I can't cure things. I don't make your blood pressure 120/80 unless that's the natural spot where your body is set to be, and I can help push it in that direction. So Master Lama, the moment you put this on, your body's starting to get those frequencies and it's starting to change its behavior. The acidity in your blood starts to decrease. The sticky red cells in your body start to expand and pucker out. So we're giving your body great oxygenation, open up the channels so we can get nutrients and oxygen in the cells and then get the garbage back out of the cells. So we've triggered that in your body. Now it's going to residually last for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours because the body is going to want to stay there. And it's fighting to stay there because that's a better state, but it's eventually going to drift back down. I call it as the charge burns off, as what we're doing burns off. You know, I wish we could permanently move things in that direction. Some people wear the wristband 24/7 and their body can tolerate it. Like yourself and myself, if it doesn't come off by 8 o'clock, I'm solving all the problems of the world. 1 + 7 is 17. You know, I am at the space shuttle and I've had to land it. What parabolic curve? All the stuff goes through our minds that we're trying to work out. So these are one of the products that you probably
it's incredible. I want our students to know that you know, doing our 45-day challenge, which is free to the public. The exercises are free. Downloading my first book is also free. They should try it without the bracelet, and then they should try it with the bracelet because they're going to be blown away. I mean, my protege in Denver, Master David, that you're soon will be meeting, that's going to help us as we launch our advanced training. I mean, he bought 2 of them. He wanted to try 1 on one wrist. He wanted to try 2. I mean, you know, he just loves energy frequency. And he's been with me over 33 years. And anybody that's done Tai Chi Gung for any period of time, you become sensitized to the change. You know, that's one of the things I want to pivot into. I want to now go into talking about 4 months ago, I started using your pain patch. And if people know my background, it's extensive in martial arts, yoga, and I also used to be a professional dancer off Broadway. Well, I did some really crazy things in my 20s between advanced martial arts and dancing the scarecrow role in The Wizard of Oz. My hip was like most people in my stage by now, they would have had hip replacement a long time ago. Okay. So what I did is I put your patch on. Now I've been dealing with people selling patches for a decade. And a lot of times they make third-party claims and you kind of use them because there's validation, but a lot of times you don't feel really the change. I put your patch on. It's a mind blower to me, literally a mind blower, that I'll put your patch and I'll rotate it around different points in my hip. And for 3 days with that one patch, even taking a shower, I will notice that not even minutes, the pain is like down 80, almost 90%. So explain again to our viewers why this is happening, because to me, it's incredible.
It's funny. Before I do that, I want to jump in real quick.
Sure.
If I said to you, well, some of the squares of an 82 sides of a right isosceles triangle is equal to the square of the third, who would I be?
You would be the 10 man.
No, the scarecrow.
The scarecrow. Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
Dance the scarecrow, Ray Bolger, and
you know, it was great stuff. Great movie. My second movie, by the way, when I was a child. My second movie.
Well, it's that growing up as a kid, that was a major family event. Yeah. So you brought back my heart. Just got really warm. But let's talk about pain in general. Pain typically comes from in our body, 2 different ways. They all run on the nerve highway to our spine and our brain, right? That's how we cooperate in minimizing pain. Pain from things like arthritis and fibromyalgia, let's call them active nerve pain, where the nerves are just getting overstimulated. Frankly, my product isn't as good as the other pain that we've really focused on, which is inflammatory pain. You got a bruise, you got an injury, you got inflammation. That's why my patch works excellent, because we designed frequencies and harvested frequencies that reduce inflammation, take things down a significant level, which stops that pressure on the nerves in that area. So many people use it for arthritis and have good results, but typically arthritis, we have it in our hands and our legs, and they're having to put 6, 7, 8 patches on to get the kind of relief. And the economics aren't as good. But if you've got a hip pain or a knee pain and you're in between, do I want to have the surgery? Do I want to have anything? Or do I just want to be out of pain? My patches work fantastic. And we simply study the human body and understand that the impact of pain is managed in the spine. It all focuses into the spine. The spine tries this autonomic response to do something about it. When the brain gets in touch with it, because through the vasovagal communication, when the brain gets it, it says, I can dump endorphins and serotonins and dopamines out into your bloodstream to help deal with that pain. So a lot of our pain, that connection, because of our bad habits and are energetically disconnected and chemically disconnected, that connection doesn't work very well. And so the brain's sitting there, I didn't know you were in pain. I simply did not know you were in pain. Well, you put on my patch, or as my patch even gets close to you, suddenly that connection's made and the brain goes, I'm going to help out and I'm going to dump out serotonins, dopamines, anti-inflammatories into the body. We just simply trigger that. Now, Tylenol, what it does is just blast your liver, right? And says, let me take control of this and minimize the pain by numbing the nerves, making it less sensitive for the nerves. Same with narcotics, same way with all the stuff that we can buy. Energetically, I just talk to the body and says, do it yourself, do it yourself. So we use anti-inflammatories like L-arginine is a wonderful molecule, studied, won a Nobel Prize. We use things like turmeric and red yeast rice and ashwagandha to calm the body down. And those frequencies, about 90+% of our population that use them report back that they've had significant pain reduction. All I've done is turned on the body energetically, just like an acupuncturist would. No chemicals, no mess, right? This is just simply a way for your body to get connected.
Right.
Okay, your body to be, your brain and your spine are now communicating, going, we can handle that pain. There's something about it.
Let's talk a little bit about part B of this, because you opened up Pandora's box. And I think this is, when you look at the commonality of the students of the Circle of Life and the customers of Body Align, consciousness is very important to this group.
Absolutely.
And the numbing of like COX-1s and COX-2 inhibitors, and not only what it does to in a sense put the central nervous system asleep, basically.
Exactly.
And it's the opposite of a conscious person, what we really want to happen, right, Steve? So this is why this is really, to me, incredible, because you can dial down the pain and the person is still expanding their consciousness, because it's really hard to move and stay in 5D if I'm taking a bunch of ibuprofen, right?
Your body's certainly not going to be moving in that direction. You've now numbed it down. Now, the good news is you're out of pain. So there is a consciousness. Maybe you can elevate to that the ibuprofen happened, but the rest of your body is going to be lagging. Right. I've always said, if your body detoxes, you got to take something every 4 hours to get the desired effect.
Right.
Your body treats it as a toxin and is trying to get rid of it, right? You just overpowered the system. You know, broccoli is not something your body wants to get rid of. It's not there's no half-life where it's trying to chew it up and the benefits that we get out of broccoli. But certainly ibuprofen and any of the NSAIDs that we use just for simple pain over the counter, they're certainly not good for the body. They might be necessary for your pain management. And I'm telling you, folks, please be out of pain. Try my product. It works fantastic. I don't want to hear about you in pain. That's not what God intends. Right. But I think if we can find a solution that's non-chemical based, you can have best of all the worlds, right? You can have a high level of consciousness, a high level of vibration, and minimal amount of pain, where the rest of your body, if you can walk down the street and say hi to the neighbors and you can feel good, you bring a positive energy, your frequency starts to bound up and you become much more limitless, right? You become much more capable of dealing with it. And I think it's a cycle that spirals up.
Well, I put literally the pain patch to what I considered one of the biggest tests last weekend, where I took all of my family, my grandkids, and we went to Disney World for 4 days.
Now that won't irritate you.
And one day we went to Epcot, which is twice the size, as you know, of the Magic Kingdom. And we're in the back, we're watching the fireworks. And I've been on this hip already for 10 hours that day. And you've got to walk from the back of the World Showcase to up front where we take the monorail to exchange with the monorail, because we were staying at the Contemporary in the Magic Kingdom. Now, if that wasn't a test, Steve, I don't know what was, because here this 65-year-old Lama, who everybody, the doctor's been saying, you're bone on bone for 10 years. How are you doing this, right? And I walked, I know it was at least 5 or 6 miles. I walked 5, 6 miles at the end of the night. Sometimes I had to walk slow. Well, Tai Chi guy will do that sometimes. And in the process, I got on the monorail, which normally what would bother my hip the most is in that sitting position where it pushes against the front of the hip, right? And I still remembered, I would touch, I said, do you got this patch on? And I literally sometimes would grab to see, do you still have this thing? And because, all my life, I know all about placebo and all that kind of stuff, because I know. But I got to tell you, it was actually yesterday morning, because I now have this patch on second day. I had taken the shower and I started to feel that soreness, and I dried that part of the hip really thoroughly, Steve. And then I placed that patch and I watched my clock. It was 33 seconds, Steve. 33 seconds, and the pain just went, and it was going. The next thing that was, what pain, Rasaji? What are you talking about? As if I'd never had it before. And all I feel is very similar to what you feel if you go to a decent acupuncture. A lot of people that's never been, a lot of times are scared of needles, right? So they'll ask me, Lama Rasaji, do you feel the needle? I say, no, you feel this tiny little pressure, like somebody's poking you with a finger, just to let you know something's going on there. That's all I feel now with my hip. I feel like an acupuncturist walking around with his finger lightly touching my hip, which is a lot better than feeling like you got a knife in your hip. I'll tell you for sure, Steve.
Master Lama, we look at the world today, and I have to believe that that there's a lot of information available to us when we look at the aggregate, the highest level. 2/3 of the world's population treats their wellness, would treat hip pain, would treat shoulder pain outside of chemicals. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
The Native Americans use the bark of a willow tree to do it. We are so caught up now in synthesized chemical approach that we can't even see that there's a different way to feel better, right? Everything's not a perfect healing. And I'm not talking about healing. I'm talking about just dealing with what it is of being human, right? Our wellness, much more than the healing and disease that we might have. So this doesn't cure anybody, but 2/3 of the world's population isn't dumb. Okay. 2/3 of the world's population says, I'd rather see my energy medicine, whether it's my acupuncturist, my naturopath, my shaman, or my witch doctor, right? The folks that use energy to diagnose and to provide energies back to make them feel better. So, Master Lama, I don't claim to be smarter than anybody. All I can tell you is I just believe in the masses, that the number of people that use energy, been doing it for 5,000 years, right? Those number of people are by far stronger than what I can provide is just go to the drugstore and get some chemicals and keep popping them in and have to have my liver tested every year to make sure I haven't destroyed it.
Well, that's exactly right. And the funny thing of it is, you're gonna love this statement, because you and me are right on. When in the event, when you have a Chinese energy history of over 5 millenniums, we've been around for 3 of those. Then Ayurveda, you can put things on Ayurveda that go back even further than that. I studied Ayurveda medicine for 4.5 years in India. I took things like rhodiola and tamaro and the herbs that you're actually talking about that are in the bracelet. I did those. I knew what there was. I picked cordyceps sinapses in the foothills of Tibet. I know what that does anaerobically to your lungs, and it's a lot better than taking an albuterol inhaler, right? So I know these things, but isn't it funny, right, that the academia field, especially that's influenced by the medical field, and I really believe more the pharmaceutical field, right, that they look at us and we're supposed to be alternative wellness. We're supposed to be alternative healing, right? Now, we don't claim to heal or do anything, but here's what I learned a long time ago in Tibet. Give the body, mind, and spirit what it needs naturally, and it automatically regenerates and sets itself up for its own healing, because it was designed to be a self-healing organism anyhow, right?
Absolutely.
So
it's all built in. And, man has probably put us in a position where the body is no longer capable, because we're so disconnected with the pathogens and the toxins and the stuff that enter our body. We just weaken it down so much that our innate ability to heal is heavily limited. And I think that that's just a function of our lifetime of toxins after toxins after toxins. It just drives our bodies down. So, I'm a big fan of some level of purification. I think it's important in order to get our back. One of the things I've studied is obesity, and studied what is it about behavior. And I use this a lot. Tiger Woods says that he takes him 10,000 swings, for him to take a minor tweak in his behavior to perfect whatever change he wants to make. 10,000. Well, imagine if we had to have 10,000 decisions on what to eat, or what to exercise, or we put our minds in that mode where it takes 10,000. Now, you can expand that or accelerate that through other behaviors, right? There's yoga can help you expand those things, and Tai Chi Gung can help you speed that up, but ultimately your body's got to be trained. So when you lose weight, your hypothalamus says, okay, I want to set your right weight at this, so I'm going to move your hunger around to go down to that level. But it doesn't happen the day you lose a pound. The hypothalamus is doing just the opposite. It's trying to push you and your behaviors back up. So I think the circle of life and body line together, because we're going to provide both the assistance in the body line product, but the deep changing environment, the deepness that we have to overcome the body's resistance to change. I think you're going to show people how to accelerate that. Many of our professional athletes use yoga, they use hypnotism, they use alternative means to accelerate that change in the body, and they're obviously exceptional in what they do. So you might want to comment a little bit on how Circle of Life can push people.
Well, you're absolutely, you and me have had this conversation before off camera when we first met, but we're going to share with what you're talking about today on camera. And what people need to know is that when you start doing these Tai Chi Gung exercises, it strengthens the energy field itself, which houses the body. But then it influences the chakras, because the exercises turn what they refer to the spokes. The Sanskrit word for that is nada. And they turn. We got 72,000 of those, and they begin to turn them outward. So we respond more to energy. They come in through the spokes, and people don't know that metaphysically, these spokes on the outside are connected to the central nervous system in the body. So it's almost like you have tentacles going out, embracing life, or they're turning in, contracting from life. When a person is depressed, what we've observed, these nadas turn in because they're saying, I don't want to engage in life. But when I'm embracing in life, see, when I'm hungry, that's a sign that I'm healthy. When I want to embrace and move, that's a sign that I'm healthy, right? So what happens is that the second thing that gets stimulated after the chakra and the energy body, you're going to love this, is the endocrine gland system itself. Bingo. So what happens is all of a sudden they have a hypothalamus that might have been shut down between 25 and 30 years old. At 55, it's waking back up again, a pituitary gland. Oh my God, I can't tell you, Stephen, how many women came to me in their 50s, said, I've been off my monthly cycle for 10 years. And all of a sudden they start menstruating again. They're flipping out. I don't know something more powerful about regeneration than that. That's one of the best examples you could have. But I tell you, I want to lead into the newest patch that you know that I tried about 3 weeks ago, and I text you on this because this has to be told to our audience. This is going to blow their mind. We have if I go to an acupuncturist physician for a while, as we know, they're trying to get us to maintain that balance. Now, once we maintain the balance, they have what's referred to as a seasonal adjustment. The seasonal adjustment are primarily to keep open the 12 major meridians that run the thousands of meridians. Think of them as the oceans and the rivers, and all of the other meridians are the creeks, right? So if I keep those 12 open, spiritually, mentally, and physically, the body was just made to perpetually continue to go. Well, we have a breathing exercise that is totally focused on that. It's called the meridian cleansing breath. And I get to share with your audience and with you for the first time openly that your mass patch, your very new patch, I call it the Qi Gung patch, because what I did is I stuck it on about the fourth vertebrae in my lower back, which acupuncture medicine refers to that point as the Ming Min point, refers to that as the gate or push of life. When people, again, are passively depressed and want to sit on the couch all the time, according to the acupuncture physician, that point almost has no chi, almost has no energy. Well, let me tell you what. Talking about an acupuncture with their finger on my hip, I've often said that when your chi is good in your lower back, that push of life, Steve, is so strong. It feels like a warm hand in your lower back, just pushing you in life forward. I put that patch on, and that was the first point to open up. And then you're going to get real excited. The next thing that happened was the first major meridian in the body, which they call the governing vessel that goes up the spine. And then the conceptional vessel, which is the whole reason we call the circle of life, because that is the circle of life, right? And then the two major meridians opened up in my arms, and then my legs, the band around my head, the band around, in other words, the 12 major meridians. Steve, you have hit a home run with this patch. Talk to me about this patch.
You know, the patch wasn't thought of in terms of what you're talking about. Obviously, you're feeling it, and it could be simply because the reason you couldn't feel that before was something in your body was resisting that, right? And I'm so excited to hear that open up, and now we can explore how that patch is doing that. But in my mind, I'm sitting here going, well, I developed the patch. It's about 125 different frequencies on conception vessel, right below the belly button, right? And it was designed to push the amount of testosterone that's naturally in our body to that point. Now, we can suppress testosterone with what we eat or what we drink, no exercise. Our testosterone is going to drop down or drift down. So let's say for a healthy man like me at 60 years old, my number should be 75. Right. Well, if you were to test me prior to my mass patch, it's going to be maybe in the 50s or 40s, simply because lifestyle is you're not going to. So what we've done is created the frequencies that awaken that endocrine system, the androgenic cycle in the body, which is the production of testosterone, one of life's most important molecules. It's created with connection to the brain and our endocrine system. So I said, you know what? I want to free this up. I want to get back and push the T levels, testosterone levels, back to where God intended it for a 60-year-old man. And we're all different. Your numbers, your normal number, your God number is going to be slightly different than mine. But what I found was, when we started testing this over a year ago, what I found was I was starting to push it really close, and I didn't know where my normal level was. I just know that I got it to go from 50 to 75, and I'm very happy with that number being at that. My whole life, my energy, all the things that I expect out of better testosterone is happening to me. So we just continue to look at frequencies. Now, as we think about it, CV4 is a pretty powerful meridian, right? Point on the body. I hadn't thought about the backside, but we're going to do some experiments to see.
We have to, Steve. We have to investigate. This is huge, because here, with what you set in motion, we know that's working, but now we're affecting the energy body to itself. Now we're impacting the 12 major meridians in the body that stabilize health. I mean, this is what an acupuncturist's dream. Literally, I mean, can you imagine? There was a Qigong exercise totally devoted to these 12 meridians, right? So acupuncture's seasonal adjustment, totally to that. So we're talking about 5,000-year-old history, right? And now all of a sudden, you created a patch to do this. Well, it's doing this, but now it's also doing that. And this is huge. I mean, this is a blessing, Steve. This is a huge blessing.
Well, we need to figure out how to harness that for folks that know what to do with that when it happens, right?
Exactly.
We can open that up, but I'm afraid that maybe that could be bad if we're not in the presence of knowing that that's so much of our body is open. And maybe that ought to be a part of the circle of life and the advanced training.
Well, the beautiful thing of it is people need to know one of the things that makes the circle of life so profound. In other words, if it's going to open the chakras and stimulate the glands and the meridians, the exercises, that 45-day challenge is geared to also open up the 12 major vessels. Now, watch this. I've got a bracelet that I can do the exercise with or without. Check it and see. I've got a pain patch for discomfort. I can do the exercise. Is it better with it? I can check. I can be the scientist, right? And now I have a mass patch that was created to increase T levels in the body, but that could also impact what you started. One of the major reasons you started doing Tai Chi Gung to start with.
Absolutely. And we need to test it on men and women, obviously.
Yes.
And find out just now what the power is. And we can do a mass patch tweaked if we need to tweak it a little bit. Let's call it the 12-point patch. And it's designed for folks that truly want to get and allow energy to become part of their life. Okay. And in the training that they're going to be able to go through and see the difference that it makes. And this simple little patch that wasn't designed to do that. But I'm not surprised, given that we give the body some of the most basic frequencies that it needs to be healthy. Looking at the endocrine system, right? I didn't look at cardiovascular system. I didn't look at the nervous system. I said, you know what? The endocrine system, what does it take to balance? In women, they make testosterone in their ovaries, the adrenal glands, and some other tissue in the body produces some, and their normal level might be 15.
Right.
Okay, that God level is 15. They may be operating 6 or 7, which affects libido, it affects their cycles, it affects a lot of their life.
Oh yeah.
We get synthetic testosterone in much of the meat that we eat all the time. So this is designed to push our body where it belongs. So it's exciting because it was designed with hours and hours and hours of research done on the endocrine side. Okay.
Well, see, to me, Steve, that explains it. You just explained it, because look, the Lama series looks at the endocrine gland system. You're going to love this term. It's the software of the human body. They look at it as the software, right? I mean, look from drug therapies on the other side of the table, right, to everything in the last 20 years. Where has, even Mayo Clinic, where has it been concentrated? Well, we know if we're going to prolong life, endocrine gland system has to be addressed. It's absolutely a must, because what we do know, when it shuts down prematurely, when you start losing hyperthymus, thymus function, a pituitary function in your 20s or 30s, it's not unreasonable for you to be diagnosed with chronic fatigue when that shouldn't even begin to happen until 50, 60 years old, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we know that that person is prematurely aging. But here we have a lamasery that's produced more llamas that have lived well over 100 years old. As a matter of fact, 6 of our 36 llamas that are still practicing are in excess of 100 years old. We know a little bit about health and longevity, right? And so I always joke with the people. I mean, I love the Catholic Church, but in 2,000 years, there's been more pontiffs than there's been Mahalamas because of the longevity that they've lived almost twice the average Pope's age. So that's significant. We know a little bit about health and longevity, but I am so excited, Steve, what we're doing together. I'm about to come unglued, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm so excited to hear that. Obviously, Master Lama, there's alternative uses for the technology that I have, and every patch, right? There are people that can significantly change your metabolism, and a lot of acupuncturists and naturopaths use my patches alternatively outside of what's on the package, right? Because they're trying to do exactly what you're talking about. So, part of this channel that we'll have will be created to give folks insight into the alternative uses, like expanding this. But I think if at the root of depression, at the root of poor health, the root of all the many of the things that are happening to us is in the endocrine system. It's the brain's ability to communicate to the body. The brain creates the need and the desire and the molecules for our endocrine system. Every hormone that comes out is determined by the brain. Okay. Yes. And its connection to the spine through the vasovagal connection. And suddenly now, as we recombine that and give the body a whole view of itself, I see the brain getting heavily involved. The next patch that we're working on will be one designed because of our studied so deeply into the hormone side of it, will be a product for women with PMS.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, but I think the mask patch is going to help a lot of women because it's simply going to put the body into a reconnection of that endocrine cycle. They may not need it after they try the mask patch for a while, as well as get a boost in their T levels. But we'll be testing that product in the first quarter. We have one.
Give us some ideas of what the frequencies and ingredients and compounds that you're liable to be. I mean, I know you already know where you're going. So, we've seen certain compounds help women with those balances. I can remember my wife, when she was still in the Philippines, that was a very common thing that women over there, because of diet and the heat, even in their 30s, they were having very aggressive PMS. And I remember just giving her 2 or 3 herbal compounds. It got adjusted. So I'm real excited about this product.
Well, I'd like to get those to make sure they're included in our formulation.
Sure.
I study exactly that. Is what are those botanicals? Mostly we look at botanicals, the basic vitamins and minerals and stuff. Those molecules are pretty easy to understand. It's what nature has provided in botanicals and herbs that, to me, are going to make the biggest breakthroughs. So hopefully you'll get a chance to drop me those molecules.
Sure. Are you kidding? I'll do it this weekend, brother. Absolutely.
Then it's a combination of the layers of frequency. Now, just real quick, and then we can wrap up. That we build a frequency model for therapy that we're on, we actually care about relative strength of frequencies. Okay, so we have a 7-layer stack, and they're actually laid. These vials of these natural products are stacked up in up to 7 layers. Imagine how 7 comes out, and each level of height, okay, is a smaller amount of frequency versus at the very bottom. And it's typically built like a pyramid. So some of the most impactful molecules are going to be at the bottom, and then the lesser and lesser are going to stack up. And so part like the food pyramid, we do it with the frequency.
I was going to say, but a lot better job.
Exactly.
Because they're recreating that now, right? They're completely realized that they went off the thing. Let's do a little call to action to our people. I want you, as in the closing, talk a little bit about your guarantee, because you guys have less than 1% of people that send products back. So number one, we know that means the product delivers. That's number one.
Mhm.
But number two, what is your money back guarantee? Share with the audience.
Yeah. So, let me tell you, give my perspective on it.
Right.
I can't afford to do clinical trials. I can't afford to get double-blind reverse placebo. We're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars on an ongoing basis. And if I did that, I just have to pass it on to the customer. Right? It makes no sense. So what I've done is I made my products and my customers part of the system. So we create a 30-day money-back guarantee. Our products are expensive enough that people would want a refund. I mean, if you spent $49 on a set of patches for pain and they didn't work for you, then you want to get your money back. So the incentive is there to give me the honest feedback. Okay, so if you were to pull my data reports right now, you would see that we're about $82,000 of people requested refunds from us, and we've done over $8.5 million of product. Less than a 1% return rate. We've done over 120,000 orders so far this year, shipped out over 3 million holograms this year, patches this year. So when you put it in perspective, it's meaning it's almost negligible in terms of people that didn't find good results and return the product to us. So I'm very liberal. If it's 31 days or 40 days, the product doesn't work, I want to give you your money back, because I have over 42 journals now that I have written where I can get feedback. I want to cycle that feedback and get it as I do the next generation products or look at different frequencies. I've got some really cool stuff. Dr. Charlie and the gang out there talking about pine needle soup. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, okay, maybe it makes sense now. What molecules will that bearing? And can I get those molecules pure enough that I might use pine tree pollen or pine needle soup? And so always looking for more and more solution. But we simply said that the world is our test case. The world is folks that are going to give me the honest feedback. And if it means the product doesn't work, then they get their money back. And I'm very liberal with doing that. It's a simple way of saying, I can't do FDA trials. It would be forever trying to get them done. Make the world our test bed and use the economics of the situation to get the feedback. I don't think Lipitor, I don't think other chemicals that are sold by pharmaceuticals, even though they did double-blind reverse placebo, they got this whole laundry list of gotchas. If you take, they don't have a less than 1%.
And sometimes scary,
Exactly. So we are living in a very good spot right now where these protocols that I choose very carefully and very definite in how I want people to use them. Okay. And we're able to generate a business that's pretty substantial, as well as has less than a 1% return rate on the product.
Well, you're going to be real excited. We've been talking about that VA and COL is a marriage made in heaven, right? And you're going to be excited when I tell you that is exactly the percent of people after becoming a paid member give up their membership at COL. It's 1% also. So that just more and more tells me that we have this strong connection on many levels. And you and me just love energy, and and they're always going to have fun. And Steve, I'm excited about where our conversations are going in the future. And I'm just going to tell people, try their products, because you will not be disappointed. And I also want to tell people, whether you're a VA customer or a COL member, that you got nothing to lose except a little bit of time when you join our 45-day challenge, because it's free. And the only thing you have investment in is a little bit of time. I know that's very valuable. In my opinion, our time is our most valuable commodity. And, we can always make more money. We can always get a little bit more spiritual. We can always make new products. We can never give back 5 minutes of time that we lost. So be sure that when you spend time with people you love, give them your undivided attention, because God the Father thinks enough of us to do the same. And if we want to honor him, then we want to do that with the people we love and care about. And Steve, I love you, brother. And I'm just so excited. And I call him Genius Steve for a reason. And because he is.
Well, thank you, my friend. Hey, in his name, have a great day, my friend. And we'll be in touch soon.
God bless, brother. Love you much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.